Real Estate Talk is provided for general information only and should not be treated as a substitute for professional advice. Please consult your trusted financial advisor, real estate professional, or attorney before making any real estate or financial decisions. Please remember, when following advice, your results may vary, and all information covered here is not intended to cover all aspects of the subject material, but rather a sample of issues the hosts and guests consider important. And now, Real Estate Talk with your host, Victoria Rivadeneira. Each week, Victoria gathers some of the best minds in the business to provide both professionals and non-professionals with the inside tips and tools to make smarter deals. Whether you're a buyer or seller, Real Estate Talk will give you the competitive advantage you need. And now, here's Victoria Rivadeneira.
Thank you and welcome to Real Estate Talk. We live stream on Facebook.com/Victoria RIVA from New York's AM 710 WOR iHeart Studios every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching us on Facebook, let us know by commenting, or even better, send us some love. We like love. Real Estate Talk airs every Sunday morning on AM 710, and our podcast can be found on retalkradio.com. I'm Victoria Rivadeneira. I'm here with co-host Jackie Sandra Morris.
Hi there.
How are you today?
Good.
And we also have our attorney co-host, John Laterra. How are you today, John?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me back.
That. So, were you just on vacation? Because you look awfully tan.
I was. I was in Newport with the family.
Nice. It's good to be, John. So, I just came back from Florida.
Oh, how was that?
I was working. I wasn't down there on vacation. I went down there to make some corporate videos for the Beverly Carter Foundation, which is very near and dear to my heart, as I think everyone knows. And I had the worst experience getting there. Awesome time spending time with all my wonderful people that are involved in the Beverly Carter Foundation. I had a wonderful time with Carl Carter Jr., who is just an inspiration. You know Carl, right? He's Beverly's son. So amazing. We had a great team headed by Shane from Paris Videos, which was awesome. Shane Penley. We also had the team from Trust Stamp down there, and we had a really, really fun time. But getting there, whole different story. You know, go ahead.
How was, if you don't mind, I want you to I want to share this experience because
you heard me complaining about it all morning.
I could see the smile all over your face.
Yeah, I wasn't smiling that day. I can assure you, I wasn't smiling. So Saturday, I flew down to Florida. I typically fly JetBlue, which is fantastic. Highly recommend JetBlue, and I know I can say that, John. I will not tell you.
We'll keep the rest of the names out.
Yeah.
Nameless.
Yeah.
Nameless.
I'm sure JetBlue will be happy that I'm promoting them because they are wonderful, and they really, really, truly are. Never, ever had a bad experience. And you know, I fly a lot. I fly like every other week. And really, I can honestly tell you, I have not had a bad experience. You know, and I know that that's not the usual. There's a lot of people that are always complaining.
Absolutely.
Well, now I know why they complain, because I had the opportunity to fly with a different airline. And, well, that was a mistake, I can tell you that. My original flight was delayed. I was flying out of LaGuardia. So I called their corporate center, and I asked them, is there any way that I can get on this morning flight? And they said, well, you can, but you have to go all the way over to Kennedy. And you know, in New York, it's not easy to go from one airport to another.
Traffic on a Saturday morning.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I get there, though. I race from LaGuardia to Kennedy. I get there. My flight is leaving at 8 o'clock. I get there at 7:15. I still have to go through security. But again, I'm a really well-traveled person. So I have my carry-on, and usually I have my boarding pass on my phone. But because it was changed, it wasn't on my phone. So I go right over to the kiosk because I know I have to get through security. So I go over, and, of course, it's not printing. So now I have to go to the help desk.
With 45 minutes before takeoff.
I had to board probably in about 15 minutes. So I go over there, and they just decide that they're just not going to print my boarding pass. The girl at the desk says, nope, I'm not printing your boarding pass. You're not on this flight, and I'm not printing it. And I said, well, I have customer service on the phone. And they're saying I am on this flight. You can speak to them. And she says, well, I'm not going to speak to them, and I'm not speaking to you, and dismisses me.
Unbelievable.
So now, of course, I have to vocalize my opinion on this.
You have to smile and wave?
Well, I'm not sure I was smiling. I'm not sure I was waving either.
Yeah.
But I was firm, and I told them I am on this flight, And you have one job, and that job is to print my boarding pass so I can get on this flight.
So they did not recognize you from the show?
They did not recognize me from the show.
Unfortunately.
Can you imagine?
I can't believe that.
I can't believe that either, John. I'm really glad you brought that. We have to do a better job promoting this show. They should have just let me on just for that reason alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what? Also, I should have told them I knew you.
That would have definitely got you on.
If I said I knew John, but
Probably not in the
maybe that's
in a
why
seat, but you might have gotten on.
Maybe that's why they didn't let me on. Maybe they did recognize me from the show, and they know that you're my co-host.
Right.
But anyway, long story short, I know it's a very long story. They refused to print my boarding pass, and when I vocalized my opinion about how I was treated, they told me I was no longer welcome to fly on their airline and escorted me out of the airport. I had to go back to the other airport.
It was a good Saturday.
It was a good Saturday. But you know what? Here's the thing. There are people in this world that will just mess with other people just because they can. And they just have that mindset. And that mindset is, I'm going to make your day not so great. And when I got to Florida, when I finally got there, remember, my whole team is down there. We're volunteering to do these videos to push out training material to keep agents safe. It's a very, very good mission. So I get down there and everyone's waiting for me. We lost an entire day. And I could have been really angry. They could have been really angry. But instead, we really were feeling very blessed. And we said, we have the opportunity to bring a positive change into our industry. And I said to them, I know everyone thinks I'm going to be the one that's angry. But if that's the worst thing that happens to me, missing a flight,
okay.
Life is pretty good.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, and that is also a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so with that, today's topic is, guess what?
Mindset.
Mindset. You're so smart, Jackie. You are.
Take a guess.
This is why we have you on the
Thank
show.
you.
Isn't she?
I was going with travel advice.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Or what not to do. You know?
What not to do.
What not to
do
do.
not be confrontational with the desk airport.
Do not be sassy.
You know what's amazing about that story, though? The corporate center said that they had no control over anything that happens in the airport, and I was really basically at the mercy of that one person who had a really bad mindset.
I don't know how a corporation even allows something like that to happen, especially in an industry that's customer service based.
You
know,
think that the airlines is customer service
Well,
based?
I mean, it should be.
Maybe you're not
right?
so smart, Jackie.
Well, when I travel, I just think, you know, it should be customer service based. I mean, you want it to be a great experience because today's, you know, business world. I mean, everybody's traveling. You have to
Everyone's
travel.
traveling.
So
Yeah, and everyone is at the mercy of the desk at the airport. I can tell you that.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, back to mindset.
Yeah.
That is today's topic. And we have a very special guest with us
We do have
today.
a very special guest with us today. We actually have Peter Pacetto with us, who is currently the Vice President of Sales for RE Profit. It's an automated profit and loss and bookkeeping software that helps real estate agents run profitable businesses, because that's what we all want. Profitable
Profit
businesses.
matters.
Yes, for sure. And in his former role, Peter was an international real estate agent trainer. So he knows a couple things, I would believe so.
Spent a couple miles in the
Yeah,
year
for
before.
sure. Right. And he's helping to grow agents' mindset and sales skills, or he did, for the #1 sales and training company in America. So you definitely have some clout. We're excited to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful for an opportunity to be on Real Estate Talk with you guys. And Victoria, thank you so much for having me. And John, this should be great.
So Peter, he listens to our show. We have a listener. He listens to our show. Peter listens to our show. And last week's show, he heard that we had to BYOM. Bring your own music.
Wow.
So he has his own intro
That is a
music.
good song.
Got to be prepared, right?
It is a good song. Peter, thank you very much for being here.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful to
We're
be
really
here.
thrilled to have you here. And the timing is impeccable. We really needed to talk about mindset today, for sure. And Peter, I know that you live your life with the philosophy that everything begins with mindset.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. You know, I see agents from across the country and people of all walks of life tend to live in this box that they've sort of self-imposed on them. And it's through the limiting beliefs. We all have limiting beliefs on the life that we're capable of living, the job that we have, the home that we live in, the relationships we are in is a function of our limiting beliefs. And that's mindset. And when we see people remove those limiting beliefs, we see their lives get bigger. And it was my honor to sort of be a firsthand witness to seeing others removing their own limiting beliefs. The greatest limiting belief out there is that you don't have any limiting beliefs, because we all have them. They're all on us in areas of our life, and we don't always understand where they're showing up. And as we start peeling back those layers of the onion, our lives get bigger. And when our lives get bigger, we have more energy for others, more energy for our family, our community, and it's just really cool to see.
It is. So this is a consumer-facing show, and I know that you've trained a lot of agents, but how does this affect the consumer?
Well, I think it affects the consumer a lot more than they might realize on a day-to-day basis. I would see people that wouldn't buy a home because their limiting belief was they couldn't afford a home, they didn't deserve a home, they weren't old enough to buy a home, they didn't have the credit to buy a home. And they would, somebody would ask them, well, hey, when are you going to buy a home? And their limiting belief would just sort of show up in a half-truth, and they'd say, well, I don't know if I can afford it yet, or I'm putting more money aside, I'm going to wait a little bit. And the truth is they never kind of challenged that assumption as to whether or not they really could buy a home, whether they spoke with a great lender that could find them a home in a price range that they were comfortable with, that didn't stretch their budget. And we would, somebody might say, well, I'm going to save some money. And we would sort of reinforce that and say, well, good for you. You're saving money. That sounds like a smart move. And now we've reinforced that limiting belief. And now, they spend another year or 2 years or 3 years renting. That is money that's literally going out the window that they're not getting back.
I would imagine that both the agent and the lender, and Jackie, I'm going to really gear this toward you, would really have to have the mindset of, you can do this, and let me show you how. Unlike the story that I told coming into this, you might have a lender that may say, no, you can't do this, and you're not buying a house today. Yeah. Where you would go out and say,
encouragement is a huge part of the process. Everybody understands, like you said, their own limiting beliefs. We all have them. And so often we have clients that come in and just believe it's impossible, but when you put a little bit elbow grease in, right, and there's a little bit of encouragement and you put together what I like to call a custom tailored mortgage, you really get to push past some of those boundaries. And naturally you have a conversation about all of it, because fear is real. We can't pretend that it doesn't exist. But, again, if you're committed to something and you truly want it, well, let's sort of let's wipe away what you're currently thinking about and build something that you feel we can either work towards or that's doable right this moment. And more often than not, I have clients that say, I can't even believe I can do this.
Right.
I didn't know it was even possible. Mm-hmm. It's really close to what I'm paying in rent. Or, I encourage people to talk to their accountants, to their attorneys, just because sometimes there's so many other benefits that you need that encouragement to know, okay, you know what, I can step off the ledge. And so many times I have clients that say, I'm the first person to own a house in my family. Mm-hmm. So they come in with that idea that, well, it'll never happen for me. But in reality, it's absolutely just, I like to say 2 millimeters away. You just got to be willing to go the 2 millimeters.
I love that you use the word encouragement. There's a great quote from Truett Cathy, who's the founder of Chick-fil-A, who said, if people need encouragement as if they're breathing. Mm. Everyone needs encouragement.
Totally.
And the word fear that you use, I heard a great quote one time that it's false evidence appearing real.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And the fear should really go away, especially when you have an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's ironic. I'm sitting here quietly because there's so many things going through my mind, obviously. And this might have been the wrong show almost for me to be on. And I say that because...
because you're going to bring trouble, aren't you?
Well, I hope you could realize, as a lawyer, it's effectively my job to make sure people are not going beyond their boundaries. So I'm the one who's actually telling them, all right, I get it. So we don't want to limit your beliefs. However, you need to understand that this is everything that could go wrong. That's my job. So I'm constantly telling individuals what worst case scenario. So unlike everybody else.
And these two great real estate experts will tell you having a great attorney involved in the transaction is absolutely critical to protect people from what they don't know.
Well, I actually agree with what you do, John. And I think this is the perfect show for you to be on because You're not telling them not to do it. You're just telling them go in with your eyes open.
Absolutely. The one thing, what I always say makes a great lawyer is don't kill a deal. It's very easy for a lawyer to say, and it's very safe for any lawyer to just say, don't do the deal. Can't get in any trouble. But rather, I always try to figure out a way to get the transaction done, get the deal actually done. So,
right. But you're also looking at it from a point of protection, saying, okay, well, let me see what type of a mortgage you're getting. Let me see where the property is. How are you going to handle this if this goes wrong? Are you aware that this could go wrong? So that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. These are all the problems that could arise. If, for instance, if it's a commercial transaction and you're signing a personal guarantee, well, you need to understand the ramifications of that personal guarantee. So I think it's a fine line between not having limited barriers, but also mitigating and hedging the risk associated with taking those barriers down.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, having practiced both residential and commercial, I would see that. And there's always, I believe, sort of this cushion between what people believe they can achieve and what they're actually capable of achieving. And protecting somebody from the outer rim of what they're actually capable of achieving. That's where, great folks like you guys in all areas of the transaction show up to help facilitate that. Because, man, I tell you what, when you help somebody, when you see somebody grab their keys for the first time, I mean, it's for a lot of us, that's why we do what we do, and it's a pretty incredible feeling.
Now, there's another thing, though, too, that you and I talk about often, and that's different personalities gravitate toward different circumstances.
Absolutely.
Talk about that.
So are you talking more about the DISC, or are you talking more about the golden rule and the platinum rule?
I was talking more about DISC.
Okay. So
which is really behavioral profiling.
Absolutely. So all of us in this world, we fit into one of four categories, and there's a lot of different personality profile assessments out there. The one I'm most familiar with is called the DISC, which is DISC. And if you're interested and you've never taken it before, there's great free ones online.
Right. Tony Robbins has a free one.
And so understanding yourself before you do anything else is really important. So I used to get really frustrated with myself. Why am I not good at the small details? Why am I not good at this? And other things sort of came naturally. And when I began to understand the DISC and I understood, okay, I'm going to naturally gravitate and I'm great at these things, then what I would do is I would spend more time, and I taught others to spend more time in the things that you're naturally good at, and don't beat yourself up over the things that you're not naturally good at, and find someone to do it for you. A lot of great attorneys and accountants have what we call a high C, so they're very sort of compliance. They're going to make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed. If that's not you, don't beat yourself up for not being able to do it, because there are people that are naturally wired to it and love doing it. Go out and connect with somebody that's great at that.
What's interesting, though, too, is that we're taught from the time that we're little to focus on the things that we
are not good at.
Don't do well. And that's not the truth. We should really be focusing on the things we do well. Right. Are you in agreement?
Oh, absolutely. So, it's sort of born out of that 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle, right? We all have our 20% that gets us 80% of our results in life. And that 20% is most often going to be well fit for your personality. For a real estate agent to get out and meet people, often real estate agents are very outgoing people, and they love going out and meeting with people in the community. That's your 20%. That's what you should be doing. And not necessarily doing paperwork.
Let somebody else do the things that you're not so great at.
Oh, absolutely. And I was very fortunate. I had an amazing assistant for the last 3 years, Danielle Williams. She's incredible. She helped change my life. And as the day I started working with her, she actually loves the dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's. And she made me a better me. And she loved to do the things that she did. And so together, we used to joke, together we were a full DISC assessment.
Together you were the full package.
We were. She's amazing.
And that's awesome.
So Peter, the DISC assessment applies obviously to business as well as personal life.
Oh,
across the board.
Absolutely. So there are people in this world that if you ask them what time it is, they're going to tell you how the watch is made. There are other people that just don't care. Just tell me what time it is so I can keep going, right?
What time is it? Why does it matter?
Right, exactly.
Well, it matters right now because we need to go to a break. So when we come back, Peter Pucetto is going to continue talking about DISC. And you mentioned something called the Platinum Rule versus the Golden Rule. So when we come back, we're going to hear more about that as well. I'm Victoria Rivadeneira. I'm here with John Laterra and Jacqueline Sendra Morris. And yes, I do say Jackie and Jacqueline. I go back and forth. And you are listening to Real Estate Talk from New York's WOR from iHeart Studios.
Hi, this is Tom Marinero, the president of Residential Home Funding, a top East Coast mortgage company. Now is the time to buy a home before interest rates go up. Lock in with a low rate today, or turn your current home into an asset by cashing in on its equity. Why rent when you can own? Why not get cash out of your home now? So call me right now at 1-800-636-LEND. And as a bonus, if you call me right now, I will waive all of my lender fees. That's right, zero lender fees, saving you thousands of dollars. This offer is for purchasing or refinancing a home. Call me and learn more at 1-800-636-LEND. Residential funding is part of the New York and New Jersey Departments of Banking and Insurance. Our NMLS number is 36152. The number once again is 1-800-636-LEND. That's 1-800-636-LEND.
Do you know what to look for when choosing a title company? It's important to find a provider with years of experience, solid financial backing, and proven expertise on all types of transactions. With Stewart Title Company, you get that. We've been protecting real estate titles since 1893. That long history, along with our sound financial picture, is your assurance of our knowledge and title expertise. Our underwriters are known as being industry leaders. They're responsive, like a good partner should be. And with Stewart Title offices being located worldwide, we can provide title and closing expertise anywhere you need it. Why not let Stewart Title help you close more transactions? Visit Stewart.com to learn more.
Every loan has a story, a family, and a dream that fuels it. My name is Jacqueline Sendra, mortgage loan originator number 39117, specializing in first-time homebuyer financing and an array of mortgage products. We recognize the importance of competitive rates and a custom-tailored mortgage loan to suit your needs. United Northern Mortgage Bankers Ltd. celebrates over 37 years of mortgage banking success. Allow us to help you achieve your dream of homeownership by reaching out to me today at 631-478-2706. Again, 631-478-2706. United Northern Mortgage Lenders Ltd. NMLS number 7230 is an equal housing lender and a licensed mortgage banker located at 3601 Hempstead Turnpike, Suite 300, Levittown, New York 11756, New York State Department of Financial Services.
For more real estate talk, download our free podcast at retalkradio.com. Now back to Victoria Rivadeneira.
And we're back. This is Jacqueline with United Northern Mortgage Bankers. And if you're just tuning in now, you can listen to our entire show through our podcast found at retalkradio.com. That is retalkradio.com. And today we are talking about mindset. What an incredible, topic to be chatting about here with Peter Pacetto. So if you don't mind, we were talking about DISC. And during the break, we started chit-chatting about working with our children and healthy marriages and great communication. And we talked about DISC a bit.
So, the more I understood the DISC, the more I felt like I could have effective communication with people in my life, understanding that some people are high D, and I'm more so a high D person is what they call more a little bit dominant. They don't care how it gets done; they just tell me when it got done. And there's strengths and weaknesses to all of that. And when I realized I would have a client that was high D, I could basically call them up and said, "There's a problem. Here it is. This is what's going to happen. I've got it done," and they'd go, "Cool, thanks." Right? Other people would need a little bit more explanation. They need me to take them through what happened, how did it happen, and understanding myself and how I'm naturally associated to communicate then helped me understand how other people communicate and recognize that so I could have more effective communication with them. And that was what Victoria and I were talking about with the golden rule and the platinum rule. So you've heard of the golden rule, right, John?
I've never heard of it.
The golden rule.
Golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you.
Right.
Oh, that's the golden rule.
There you go.
Rule.
I thought you meant in the realm of DISC,
yeah.
which I'm just learning about, which is very fascinating.
And then the platinum rule is do unto others as they would have done unto themselves. Mm-hmm. In other words, if you are somebody that is a high D, you're more likely going to communicate in that fashion. Other people might not receive that way. And they might not receive, you might offend them accidentally just because of how you communicate. That's just your natural style. Whereas if I'm talking to a high D, even though I'm not a naturally fit for that, I recognize that. I talk to them the way they want to be talked to. And because of that, they'd come out of that going, man, I had a great relationship with you. When the whole time I'm thinking, we didn't talk once. You know what I mean? We barely spoke.
You spoke their language.
But how do you know? How do you figure out what the other person actually is?
Well, it certainly comes with some experience. It's not an inborn skill. It's a learned trait, and it's things that I got trained on and then would train others on. And helping validate, what we call validate, help somebody read their own disc for the very first time.
And there are signs that
Yeah.
different disc behavioral profiles show.
Yeah, when you take that exam, not to interrupt you, when you take that exam, it is pages and pages,
Yes.
and it expresses to you how you respond when you're under pressure, how you respond in a natural environment.
So it's your natural versus your adaptive.
Absolutely.
I had an agent in one of my offices who refused to take it because she didn't quite believe in it. Finally, one day she's like, I hear everybody talking about the disc. Fine, I'll take it. So it used to, the one that we were using, I think it was through, I can't remember the name of the company.
Abelson, I think, right?
Yeah, yep. It would spit out people in history that had your same sort of disc profile. She comes back in and she goes, this is a joke, isn't it? And I go, what do you mean? And she said, well, look who it is. Well, she was a part-time real estate agent and she was a full-time music teacher. And one of the people that it spit out was Mozart.
I knew you were going to say that.
And she was like, okay, I got chills now. And then people read
and
it
now
and
she's
they're
a believer.
Yeah.
And yet when people begin to understand themselves, there's this freedom and they stop beating themselves up at things that they can't do. And that gets back to the 20% and the platinum rule. Treat others the way they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated.
Right, because people respond to how they expect to be talked to. The same way I responded at the airline desk.
People don't respond to your reality, they respond to their own.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So is there a spectrum with respect to disc? And really what I'm trying to figure out is there somewhere where most successful individuals fall within that
it's
spectrum?
success. You have to define success first. And yes, there are
I would
certain
absolutely,
profiles that
we typically see certain profiles in higher.
that are more assertive, and usually success is together with assertiveness and friendliness. So if you're able to communicate well and you're assertive at the same time, you're usually more successful.
So now if you take this disc exam and you fall somewhere on that spectrum, can you change?
It's behavior.
It's
I'm
behavioral
going to
profiles,
add to
not
this
personality.
because
Please.
the first time I ever took a disc exam was about 7 or 8 years ago, and my disc profile looks completely different now.
Yeah, and the
Because-
reason for that is your adaptive state in the environment in which you're in now changed your behavior.
So we have a joke in our house. I leave. I know that if I want to go to work, I want to be a DI because I need to get certain things done. When I come
A
home,
DI meaning that the D is her driven, assertive side,
Right, and the
I
I is
being
the
Influencer.
influential. Right?
yeah, the chitty chat, and I like to have a good time. But when I get home, my D gets left at the door because when I get home, it's a different domain. So now I don't want to be that dominant, need to get everything done. I want to be relaxed. I want my environment at home to be peaceful and calming. So I bring my S up, which is a little bit more supportive.
So what do you think the airline saw in me that day on Saturday morning?
all day.
D. Yeah. So it's pretty amazing when you do start to. It's really a lot of introspection, and you're able to take a look at yourself and say, "Wow, this is me, and it's okay that I'm wired this way."
And that's why it's so important for people at home when they're
Totally.
picking a real estate agent is to pick someone that communicates with them the way they like to be
and is
communicated.
assertive enough to get the job done.
Absolutely.
So going back to your question and I said you need to define success, someone who may be an accountant or someone who really has to have a lot of technical focus. You really wouldn't want somebody who has that high I or even that D. You would want someone who has more of a C personality type, right? Or
Well, we would
behavioral
see a lot of
personality, behavioral profile.
engineers, people that have an engineering degree would have a high D, high C, which is they're driven to the result and they're very sort of, okay, there's 57 steps to getting this done. There's a process to it. There's a mindset. John, again, thank you for your service. A lot of guys that I would see take a disc right after they came out of the military.
Very high C.
Well, actually, it would
discipline.
a lot of times it would also, I would see almost a flat in that they had to become sort of a chameleon in the military, right? It never too far out, never, there's rules, there's regulations, there's falling in line. And so they've spent years sort of not
conditioning.
Well, not promoting their own personality is falling in line with the military personality.
So the environment in which they were in changed them at that time. It's interesting, right?
It's very interesting. I'm excited to take the test.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. If you would love to walk through it after you get done with it, I'd love to take a look.
Oh, that'd be great.
And too bad this young lady at the airport didn't decide to take her test, because if she did, she may understand, a little bit better how to communicate.
See that, airlines? You should give out DISC to all of your employees at the desk because they're not nice.
But then again, in
Did I
her
say that out
defense,
Yeah.
she could have just based upon what you had just said, she could have just been a product of that environment at that specific time
there's no doubt.
with everything happening.
My 5,000-foot look at it is that she is a high C, and it didn't fall within her normal cross
You're not
T,
in my
dotted
computer.
I. Right. You're not my computer.
Follow the rules. Get on the line.
Right.
And if you miss your flight, too bad.
Correct, because those are the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, to me, if I'm running that corporation, I've got somebody. I'm going to give the DISC before I ever put somebody in that role, and I'm gonna look at that DISC and say that's probably a better suited person for this role. Like maybe in the TSA, I want somebody in the TSA that's got high
who's
C.
very, very compliant.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But when you have somebody who's dealing with people, you want to have someone who's solution-based.
Correct.
100%.
Do companies use this?
They do.
To figure out?
Most companies use
I could see
this.
it being extremely useful for
Yes.
large
Yes.
bureaucratic companies.
Stewart uses it, and I know many of the real estate companies use it.
Yep. And I've even known real estate agents, some of the great real estate agents out there give this to their client so that they can understand who the client is, so that they know how to communicate with the client. And to me, finding a right real estate agent that works for you, that communicates the way you like, is going to pay dividends for years on either the home you buy or the home you sell, and making sure that you're working with somebody that communicates well. What do we hear all the time from people? My real estate agent never called me.
Mm-hmm. Well, communication is the number one problem in the real estate industry, according to consumers.
Yep.
They say communication. And number two, you know what number two is?
What's that?
Oh, come on, Peter. You don't know? I know you do know because we've had this conversation. Number two is they think that they know more than the real estate agent. And in some cases, they're right because the data is out there. It's all over the internet. So Miguel Berger is writing to us on Facebook, and he said, John, success is about you. And you also need to listen very carefully to everyone, and that's the communication part. And you need to read body language.
That's a great comment.
It is a great comment.
There's a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, that's our Miguel Berger. Thank you, Miguel, for
Thank
your
you.
comment. We appreciate that. So we're talking about these behavioral profiles. Now, obviously, consumers and homeowners that are hiring a real estate agent, they don't understand what to look for. So what would be the top three things that you would mention that they should look for?
Find someone that's a learner. You wouldn't want to go to people that are medical doctors, they have to do an incredible amount of continuing education every single year. The great doctors that are out there, people that are learners, they're constantly learning their entire careers. You wouldn't want to go to a doctor that's using 30-year-old techniques that stopped learning in 1980.
That's a very good point.
And so the same thing for real estate agents. I don't care if the person's been in the business 1 month or 30 years. I actually had a lady in my class in Midland, Texas. She was 70, early 70s. She had been in the real estate industry for 45 years, and she was a learner, and she never felt like she knew it all. And
refreshing.
It was really refreshing to have that type of energy in a class that you're instructing. And so to see agents that are out there educating themselves, not just on what the market's doing, what the best practices are, who the best people to connect with are. They're learning about things like the desk. They're learning about themselves. They're learning about finances. They're doing all sorts of stuff. The Beverly Carter Foundation that you're working with, learning how to protect themselves, because that is a tremendous risk to real estate agents.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And I think when you stay curious about what's going on in the world around you, you invite that learning into your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once you stop staying curious, you become very closed-minded.
If I had stopped learning 5 years ago, I really don't believe I would be half the person that I am today.
Mm-hmm. That's a very powerful statement.
Yeah. And a lot of times I've heard, the only difference between you now and 5 years from now is the people you meet and the books you read, right? And that's growth. That's education. So look for someone that's a learner. That would be probably my first choice. Second choice.
So what did you say? It's about the people you meet and the books you read.
Yep.
We have to start reading better books, Jackie.
Got to read 50 this year. I got to keep up with Peter.
So and we talked about communication being the number one thing. So find a real estate agent that understands how to communicate the way you like to be communicated with. I mean, there are a lot of people that are coming in, as you know, that are in that probably 25 to 35-year-old category. We always joke we can't get them to pick up the phone. I can text them 24/7 though. I got to get on Snapchat to have a communication with them. And yet when I do, I'm communicating with them the way they like and effectively.
That's right.
So, wherever you are, and at the same time, if you are a millennial real estate agent and you are working with a client that still uses a fax machine to communicate, guess what? Learn how to use a fax machine.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. And, John, you mentioned this to me. My voicemail is always full, and I refuse to clear it for a reason, because I don't want you to leave a voicemail. Just text me. You'll get a response. If I'm in a meeting, I can see it. If I have to leave the meeting, I have to go through the whole thing of, pressing the numbers and then going through. You have 18 messages. Message 1. And I don't want to deal with that. Just text me.
I do agree, except in certain situations. For instance, I should not have to text my daughter in order to get an answer.
Well, I do agree with that.
So
you are right.
I think it's the teenage world has to.
I have to agree with you. I do tell my daughter, when I call, you answer.
You better answer that phone. Don't text me.
That's right. 100%.
Actually, I would teach real estate agents all the time not to leave a voicemail on their clients, because people these days are actually more likely to call back a missed call than if they listen to the voicemail. Because if they listen to the voicemail, they know what you want. If they don't listen, if there's no voicemail,
if they get a
call
message
you back
from me,
because they want to know what you want.
If you get a message from me, it says, "Peter, it's Victoria. Call me."
So I will give one caveat. Again, I don't want to ever over-lawyer a scenario, but you do have to be very, very careful text messaging. We've been involved in several instances, believe it or not, where even on the witness stand or in a deposition, where text messages can get completely taken out of context, number one. And number two, believe it or not, even auto spell. You have to be very, very
that's a really good
careful.
Point. That's a really, really good
Guilty.
Point.
When you're
which I won't share.
Yeah. Well, they do say never put anything in writing.
When you are using a text
Isn't that right, John? Never put anything in writing.
Or read it. Don't be so fast to hit the send button.
Mm-hmm.
When you're using a text message, you are actually only communicating 7% of what you're capable of doing. 7%. There's no body language. There's no emotion. There's no emphasis on any word. And so I would tell real estate agents, pick up the phone.
Right. And if you get a voicemail, just say, call me.
Yeah, there's no tone in a text message. It's just like an email. I've seen people get so upset over an email, and I'm like, but wait, how are you reading that? You're reading that based on how you feel, not based on what is being
Well, I'll
given
share
off.
something I heard someone say, and now that we understand DISC and the D is the whole driven.
Yes.
I've heard
period.
People
There's no
say,
exclamation point.
Yeah, I've heard people say, I got a D-mail from someone.
Direct and to the point.
Yes, very direct. Yes, I totally
Well, also just
that.
Always keep in the back of your mind when you're conducting business, whether it be in a real estate, commercial, whatever the context may be, anything you're putting in writing could and probably will come
be
back
used against
and
you.
be used against you. And personally, as a lawyer, and I truly do not like speaking like this, but when we're in court, I mean, I love social media. It's amazing what people put on their social media, and we're constantly using it.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. People put way too much information on their social media.
Yep.
It's
but again, I think it goes back to, mindset. There's a platform there where you can just regurgitate, whatever the word it is that you want to use, but you can put it all out there at all times. And I've seen people change the way that they think about the world because of what has been put out. So
it's all fun and games.
You got to protect your mind
until you're on the stand.
It's all fun and games until you're against John Laterra.
No, I didn't mean...
Yeah, he will get you.
Oh, that's...
You are the best. That you really are, and we appreciate your advice. That's why you're here. we value everything that you say. When we come back, Peter Picetto is going to share with us why he believes if you're a homeowner that you should not hire an agent that is involved just in the community. Is that right?
Absolutely.
That's an interesting statement, and I want to hear about that.
Absolutely.
I'm Victoria Rivadeneira. I'm here with John Laterra, the world's best attorney, and Jacqueline Sendra Morris, and you're listening to Real Estate Talk from New York's WOR from iHeart Studios.
Every loan has a story, a family, and a dream that fuels it. My name is Jacqueline Sendra, mortgage loan originator number 39117, specializing in first-time homebuyer financing and an array of mortgage products. We recognize the importance of competitive rates and a custom-tailored mortgage loan to suit your needs. United Northern Mortgage Bankers Ltd. celebrates over 37 years of mortgage banking success. Allow us to help you achieve your dream of homeownership by reaching out to me today at 631-478-2706. Again, 631-478-2706. United Northern Mortgage Lenders Ltd. NMLS number 7230 is an equal housing lender and a licensed mortgage banker located at 3601 Hempstead Turnpike, Suite 300, Levittown, New York 11756, New York State Department of Financial Services.
This is Paul Oster, the nation's credit repairman, and I want to help you improve your credit. As the CEO of Better Qualified, I've helped thousands of people over the past 10 years. I'm the credit expert for Fox Business News and all the major networks. I'm a certified FICO Pro that uses the consumer laws to help delete negative information off of credit reports. We have a debt elimination program that focuses on the laws surrounding collections, judgments, and charge-offs. You could be entitled to up to $1,000 per violation. Call now for your free credit consultation. 888-533-8138. That number again, 888-533-8138, or visit us on the web at betterqualified.com.
Hi, this is Tom Marinaro, the president of Residential Home Funding, a top East Coast mortgage company. Now is the time to buy a home before interest rates go up. Lock in with a low rate today, or turn your current home into an asset by cashing in on its equity. Why rent when you can own? Why not get cash out of your home now? So call me right now at 1-800-636-LEND. And as a bonus, if you call me right now, I will waive all of my lender fees. That's right, zero lender fees, saving you thousands of dollars. This offer is for purchasing or refinancing a home. Call me and learn more at 1-800-636-LEND. Residential funding is part of the New York and New Jersey Departments of Banking and Insurance. Our NMLS number is 36152. The number once again is 1-800-636-LEND. That's 1-800-636-LEND.
RETalkRadio.com is your portal for cutting-edge information to give you an advantage in the competitive real estate market. Now, back to Real Estate Talk with Victoria Rivadeneira.
And we're back. If you're just joining us now, you can listen to our entire show by going to our podcast found at retalkradio.com. We are talking about mindset with Peter Picetto, and you mentioned to me before the show started that you do not believe that homeowners should hire an agent that is involved in the community.
That just knows the community, that works in the community as opposed to as part of the community. Absolutely.
Okay, explain that, because I was always under the impression, and I think everyone here, is that you want to find somebody who's a part of the community.
Well, there's a difference to me of people that are knowing the community and actually being a part of the community, right? There are some great agents out there, and obviously generalizing to me is a little dangerous, and so please take everything I'm saying with a caveat.
Hold him accountable. Don't you worry. You hold him accountable to everything he says. Isn't that right, John?
And it's all being recorded.
So
we can get transcripts of the show, It will be in writing.
Yeah, there are some great agents out there that really work to become part of the community. There's a great agent in New Jersey that I know that has a concept of care, serve, give. And she gives part of every transaction back to whatever nonprofit her client feels is important. And she's pouring, I think her goal this year, and I know her to be somebody that hits goals. She's an amazing lady. She's going to hit her goal of giving $100,000 back to the community. She's teaching other people how to care. She's teaching other people how to serve.
I agree with that. I think everyone should give back to the community in which they make money.
And we, as a real estate industry, we make our living off the community. It's our responsibility to get involved. And
so help me understand what your point was when you said we should not hire someone who
just knows the community.
Just knows the community, but you're saying we should hire someone who knows the community and is a part of the community.
Right. And, it's this industry is made up of amazing just people.
Yes.
And the people that are PTA moms and football team boosters and soccer moms and dads and that's how great real estate agents are, right? They're part of the community. They're part of the family's structure. They're not just sort of flying in,
right?
taking
and people
what they
really
can
buy a lifestyle. They're not necessarily just buying a structure. They're buying the lifestyle that the community offers as well.
And my parents got to work with an amazing lady down in Raleigh, North Carolina, that I had referred them to. Her name's Lisa Southern, and she's a part of the community. Her husband and now 2 of her children are all working in the business with her. She knows every little sort of niche of the entire triangle. And she found my parents, who had been looking for like a year and a half. She just found them this place that they feel at home. And there's a huge difference between a house and a home. And I feel like people that are really part of the community, that will get quickly a sense of who you are, how you choose to live, and find that right home for you.
So what I was saying on the break, very briefly, I'm certain it's a tremendous topic. But I was hoping you could share some of the strategies that you may use to change people's mindset.
You know what? That's it's a great question, and I appreciate you asking it. 97% of our day is a habit. 97% of our thoughts, the way we work, the clothes that we wear, it's all habit. And developing the habit of removing limiting beliefs is really important. How we develop that is, I kind of have this, it's a personal thing. I really wasn't taught it, that in order to remove a limiting belief, we almost have to connect with another human being on this planet. It's another person that can say, you know what, you can do this, the encouragement.
I love that you just said that. And everyone here knows me well enough to know that I'm always saying life is a journey. And it's all about the people that come into our lives. And they all come into our lives for a reason, to teach us a lesson or give us a blessing. And it's all about the journey. And
so, it's also finding somebody that probably has removed a limiting belief in their life in that area. For instance, John, it looks like you may have worked out once or twice in your lifetime. If I'm going to remove a limiting belief around my health,
he says that about John. He doesn't say it about us.
Well, I mean, he's got bare arms.
I'm just not flexing. I'm just not flexing right now.
If I'm gonna look at health, I'm gonna work with somebody that's already been there, that's already removed their limiting beliefs. If it's about my finances, I'm going to connect with people that have built wealth themselves, and that I see are out there doing it. And sometimes it takes somebody just challenging us. A lot of times I would hear people would say, well, my big why I do what I do is my family. And I heard a great question one time. Somebody said, is that enough? And, that challenged my limiting belief that, well, can I have a great family life and be part of a community? Can I give back? Can I do other things? And a lot of times it starts with a great question and finding somebody that's willing to ask you a great question.
And now you just said again, and I heard you say this before, it's really about the people you surround yourself with. So in answer to John's question, it's really about the people you surround yourself with. It's about having someone ask you questions. It's about the books you read.
And the people you meet.
It's input.
Yeah.
It's a lot of input.
Yeah, it really, and then we begin to, and then, for me, I've been working on this for so long, and I work with others that I always intend on taking my own advice and sort of leading from the front. And so when I'm thinking about a goal, I'm always challenging myself. Is that enough? Am I capable of more? It's become a habit, a thought habit for me, to ask myself these questions. And then I'll connect with somebody that I've already probably had that question with and go, here's what I'm thinking. Is this my limiting belief?
So now you're living your life with deliberate intention, because you're reminding yourself every day that you want to do something very specific.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's it's so important to find the right real estate agent that will help you remove your limiting beliefs on what you're capable. And it kind of starts with others and then, and moves to us. And I always believe in mentoring others. I heard a great concept about you should A third of the people in your life should be people that are where you want to go. A third are people that are sort of at your level, and a third are people that would like to be where you are. So connecting with people that are where you choose to be. And so find great real estate agents, because I think they'll help challenge you on what you're capable of having and the life you're capable of living. And I tell you what, the right home it's a pretty great life.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be people you have a individualized personal connection with. So, for instance, Victoria knows I happen to just constantly read and be a big fan, and we talk about Elon Musk all the time. I mean, that's someone who I think has no limits.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So just to even sort of watch and read and learn from someone who you may not know individually, but watch someone who has done.
Yeah, we don't necessarily have to have that conversation. I can't even tell you how many times I've been reading a book, almost falling asleep, and then I read one line and I'm like, oh, there I go. For the next hour, I've just completely challenged a limiting belief in 5 different areas of my life.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think everyone should be reading a lot more than we do. I was shocked to hear that in the U.S. that most people, after they graduate, never pick up a book. That's shocking to me, because I read every single day, every single night, and Kindle has made that so easy.
So I used to have a limiting belief that I didn't have time to read. I had a 75-mile one-way commute to my office. Okay, I had a very small. I had a baby at home.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a lot of spare time, and I was so tired at night with a brand new baby. My eyes didn't stay open very long. And then I challenged that, and I realized that I had 75 miles both ways. I had 2 hours in the car.
So now you're downloading the
audiobooks.
audiobooks.
Now I'm listening to audiobooks. So reading doesn't necessarily mean I have to actually physically have the book. Now I just jumped over a lot of people because I'm getting 2 hours of learning time every single day. So challenge the limiting belief that you don't have time to do it.
Yeah, it's a conscious choice.
Yep.
And then it turns into a habit, right?
Correct.
And then, I'm a big believer in, you're talking about fitness, and I know that's an area that a lot of times I know I would make an excuse for. I don't have time. But the best thing I find is get a coach. Get somebody such as yourself. Bring somebody around you that would encourage you to
100%.
say, get on that treadmill. Let's do 50 miles to, even if it's just somebody to just push you in a direction that you just need that little bit of a push. And
if I can add one really important thing here, one of the things I learned was a why question actually puts our brain on defense. Okay, a why question is a very unempowering question. A lot of times we say, why can't I get this done? Why am I not doing this? It's the wrong question. When you're starting a question with the word why, it's very dangerous.
So when you ask someone else a why question, are you also becoming unempowering?
Oftentimes, yes. When we do it, and we don't even realize
that puts people on a defense?
Correct.
So why aren't you printing my boarding pass was probably not the right question for me.
So who would be the best person to be talking to about printing my boarding pass right now is an empowering question. Who are the people that are achieving what I'm capable of achieving? A great question that I've learned to ask myself is, if I were to do X, how would I do it? So who questions and how questions are very empowering questions, and will oftentimes probably help you answer a question that you may have struggled with for months in minutes.
Wow. Who questions?
Who questions and how questions.
How questions. Brilliant.
Like that.
I do. I'm going through
Me too.
certain
Like,
deposition questions to possibly see how they could be rephrased. Obviously, we want to elicit certain answers and for you to just continuously talk.
Right.
So I tend to stay away from anything that could be answered just yes or no.
Well, and I said to Victoria, probably the bigger challenge for me, this is the first time I've ever had the opportunity to do a radio show. It's been fantastic being on. I'm so grateful for this. Is I'm so used to asking questions as a coach, right? Is to actually answer one.
To be in the hot seat.
and not ask it back with a question. Well, if you were to do that.
Yeah.
And I just want to add something. I'm sure you guys have picked up on this. You are one of the most gracious and thankful people since you walked in. I mean, the way that you greeted us, right? So I think it says a lot about mindset, too. You are just thankful. You're happy to receive those good things that are coming your way.
I'm very grateful.
So I believe that opens you up. It opens you up to it.
Well,
it allows that goodness to come.
It does. It's about
you.
The energy that we put out. And I've also, one of the things I say to myself is every day I say I'm grateful for the challenges that I'm not yet capable of overcoming, because they're the ones that grow me into who I'm capable of being.
But here's the
And
thing,
now when I have problems, I don't look at them as problems. I'm grateful for whatever this challenge is, because it's going to make me better.
It's going to give you a lesson. And here's the thing too. When we put out the promo on Facebook, we said what you give is what you typically get. And I know you and I have had these conversations. Mm-hmm. And energy is real. So if you're putting out positive energy, chances are you're getting positive energy back. And the same thing with negative energy. Whatever you're putting out there, it's coming back to you. Yeah. And that is a mindset.
Absolutely it is.
And you have to go in that with deliberate intention and live in the present.
So, Peter, if you had to give one piece of advice, and I hate to do this to you, but I'm curious.
Okay.
In order for someone to start right now in changing their mindset, what would it be?
I would say I would tell them to get grateful. I said, if you start with an energy of gratitude, get grateful for things in your life, not just people, places, and things. When was the last time somebody was grateful for an idea, like grateful for an opportunity to do something? You're standing in line at Starbucks. Be grateful that you can actually pay for somebody behind you just because, and let them go away and share gratitude. And when we start becoming grateful, our energy shifts, and a lot of these limiting beliefs, it's starting with an energy of gratitude, and it's awesome.
That's great.
This real estate talk, it's fantastic being with you guys, and I really trust that, what we shared today is going to help someone out there find a better home, to have a better transaction experience, to do something that before they started listening to the show, they didn't believe they could do. To me, I'm just grateful for an opportunity to share that.
Well, we love that, and we're very grateful for you.
Yeah, and I think I could talk to you all day. I feel like this is fantastic. I feel like it goes so much more than even just in real estate. Just the small things that you're saying could
mindset's everything.
Could penetrate everyday life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mindset is everything. Well, we are very, very grateful for you, Peter. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge with us today. We very much appreciate you.
Oh, thanks.
How does someone reach you?
Facebook.
All right.
Probably is the best way. Peter Pacetto. You guys can spell it out. I'm tagged on a couple of your things, which is fantastic.
All right. So just go to our Facebook page and you can find out about him. I want to thank my dedicated co-host because I'm very grateful for you two as well. John Laterra and Jackie Sandra Morris. And all of our listeners, we're grateful for you as well. Please visit retalkradio.com to get information on our host, how to reach them, our topics, our podcasts, and our blogs. Real Estate Talk airs every Sunday morning on AM 710 WOR. Until next time, I'm Victoria Rivadeneira, and thank you so much for listening to Real Estate Talk.